When this news reached the city, all who heard it came at dawn. On foot they came, and horsemen, filling the river plain with dazzle of bronze. And Zeus, lord of lightning, threw my men into blind panic. No one dared stand against that host closing around us. Their scything weapons left our dead in piles, but some they took alive into forced labor. And how I wish that I had died in Egypt on that field. So many blows awaited me. Well, Zeus himself inspired me. I wrenched my dogskin helmet off my head, dropped my spear, dodged out of my long shield, ran for the king's chariot, and swung on to embrace and kiss his knees. He pulled me up, took pity on me, placed me on the footboards, and drove home with me, crouching there in tears. I, for the troops, in battle fury still, made one pass at me after another, pricking me with spears, hoping to kill me. But he saved me, for fear of the great wrath of Zeus that comes when men who ask asylum are given death. 7 years, then, my sojourn lasted there, and I amassed a fortune, going about among the open-handed Egyptians. But when the 8th came round, a certain Phoenician adventurer came too, a plausible rat, who had already done plenty of devilry in the world. This fellow took me in completely with his schemes, and led me with him to Phoenicia, where he had land and houses. 1 full year I stayed there with him, to the month and day, and when fair weather came round again, he took me in a deep-sea ship for Libya, pretending I could help in the cargo trade. He meant, in fact, to trade me off and get a high price for me. I could guess the game, but had to follow him aboard. One day, on course due west, off central Crete, the ship caught a fresh norther, and we ran southward before the wind, while Zeus piled ruin ahead. When Crete was out of sight astern, no land anywhere to be seen, but sky and ocean, Cronion put a dark cloud in the zenith over the ship, and gloom spread on the sea. With crack on crack of thunder he let fly a bolt against the ship, a direct hit, so that she bucked in sacred fumes of sulphur, and all the men were flung into the water. They came up round the wreck, bobbing a while like petrels on the waves. No homecoming for these, from whom the god had turned his face. Stunned in the smother as I was, yet Zeus put into my hands the great mast of the ship, a way to keep from drowning. So I twined my arms and legs around it in the gale, and stayed afloat 9 days. On the 10th night a big surf cast me up into Sprotia. Phaedon the king there gave me refuge, nobly, with no talk of reward. His son discovered me exhausted and half dead with cold, and gave me a hand to bear me up till he reached home, where he could clothe me in a shirt and cloak. In that king's house I heard news of Odysseus, who lately was a guest there, passing by on his way home, the king said. And he showed me the treasure that Odysseus had brought, bronze, gold, and iron wrought with heavy labor. In that great room I saw enough to last Odysseus's heirs for 10 long generations. The man himself had gone up to Dodona to ask the spelling leaves of the old oak the will of God. How to return, that is, to the rich realm of Ithaca after so long an absence, openly or on the quiet. And tipping wine out, Phaedon swore to me the ship was launched, the seamen standing by to take Odysseus to his land at last. But he had passage first for me. The Sprotians were sailing, as luck had had it, for Dulichion, the grain-growing island. There, he said, they were to bring me to the king, Acastus. Instead, that company saw fit to plot foul play against me. In my wretched life there was to be more suffering. At sea then, when land lay far astern, they sprang their trap. They'd make a slave of me that day, stripping cloak and tunic off me, throwing around me the dirty rags you see before you now. At evening, off the fields of Ithaca, they bound me, lashed me down under the decking with stout ship's rope, while they all went ashore in haste to make their supper on the beach. The gods helped me to pry the lashing loose until it fell away. I wound my rags in a bundle round my head and eased myself down the smooth lading plank into the water, up to the chin, then swam an easy breaststroke out and around, putting that crew behind, and went ashore in underbrush, a thicket, where I lay still, making myself small. They raised a bitter yelling and passed by several times. When further groping seemed useless to them, back to the ship they went and out to sea again. The gods were with me, keeping me hid, and with me when they brought me here to the door of one who knows the world. My destiny is yet to live a while.